All right, we're live.
Now live.
Let's go.
Sweet.
So
Where's this live?
It's live on the Facebook page, on the Reup Facebook page.
Oh shit! I mean, I can't swear, can I now?
No, you can swear. This is family friendly, but we can handle a little bit of swearing. But hey, folks, this is Colby No with the Reup Show, where we connect interesting people like my friend Danny Hollywood Silvestri. And let me tell you how I met Danny. We're gonna just have a little cup of tea, a proper cup of tea, and a chat.
Coffee.
A proper tea. And so how I met Danny is I'm in the UK. I'm about to get married to my most wonderful, beautiful wife. And I asked around where I can find a good barber. And I gotta say that finding a good barber is like finding a good dentist, finding a good lawyer, finding a good, any other professional. That's been my experience, because I feel like good barbers are, and lawyers for that matter, are somewhat few and far between. It's hard to find a good professional in most industries. That's been my experience. And someone that you actually connect with, that does a good job. And so I was asking around, where can I get a good haircut? And your name came up. Danny cut my hair right before my wedding, and we've been friends for what would you say, like, I don't know, a couple months now, 2 or 3 months, or no? I got married in October, so it's been a little longer than that, but
definitely. No, cheers, man, for having me on. I appreciate this.
Cheers.
This is all new to me. I apologize if I I slip up anywhere, but I'm excited, man. I'm excited to be on this show and to meet you. Well, to see you in this pandemic state that we're in. It's a shame I don't get to see my clients as much anymore, and I've been trying to connect with them a little bit just via phone calls and texts and emails and the such. So
no worries.
Yeah.
No pressure, man. The Reup page is super small right now. It's not like this is going out to millions of people, but it's just amongst friends, and I'm glad to have you on. I want to ask you a bit about barbering, but I also want to chat about just, what's going on with you and see how you're doing in these challenging times, because one thing that we were chatting a little bit before, one thing that I feel is like super important right now is not just maintaining your connections with people right now, but I think that there's a real paradigm shift, if you will, economically speaking, socially speaking, and otherwise, that when there's a big, huge change, like we have to be at home or work from home if you're not an essential worker, what does that do? It really causes us to have these questions come up of like, am I operating how I want to operate? And I think that applies not only to work, but it applies to your relationships. I mean, a lot of people are like, I can't see my friends and my family. That may be a huge bummer, but on the other hand, a lot of people are possibly quite happy that they don't have to see certain people, because maybe those people like just weren't adding that much value, perhaps. I know that's a bit of a rant, but I just think that like a big, huge change like this causes us to really question our decisions professionally and otherwise. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I think right now there's a lot of people. We're definitely going to see the introverts and extroverts battling out. What we're all about and who we are.
Do you believe in that? Do you think people are mostly like intro or extroverts?
I think there's definitely elements of it for sure. I think even if you're an extrovert and you try to pin them down in a cage for a little bit, they'll enjoy it briefly, but then they still want to try and fight their way out of it because I'm sure they're happy with what they have, but they need that extra attention outside of their own confines. And then if you're introvert, like you're out there every day, you might be working in a big, busy office, and now all of a sudden you're on your own in an office. It might be like a savior for you. You might just think, wow, this is what I need to do. I want to work from home more. I want to be around my family more. You know, all those things. So there's an element to that. I think, yeah, but people are definitely taking stock right now of what's important for them and what's meaningful in their lives. I'm
forcing that conversation.
Yeah, I know you want to keep this nice and positive, but one big thing on this is that I really hope when things do start picking up, or we see Italy now trying to open their doors for businesses to continue, I really hope we don't just go straight back into a world and society like we were in before, where we were just like flying forward so quickly, not really having our feet on the ground. I just really hope we don't end up doing that. You know, I kind of like this position we're in right now, where we've got time to think, time to come together, time to think about different possibilities, and it'd be all such a shame. Yeah. It's a time if we end up just going back to normal.
Well, back to normal. It's not sustainable from any. No matter which way you look at it, it's not really normal as it was before.
Right.
Wasn't sustainable, particularly when it comes to the economy.
Right.
The economy hasn't been sustainable, and that's not normal. But you know, it just so happens that this virus situation has caused us to reset, and I think that that the virus is obviously, it's a very serious situation, but the economy was in trouble anyways, my friend.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Like the economy, particularly the United States economy, has been in big trouble for a very long time, and we're noticing changes within the economy, like the death of retail, and that's just that's whether you agree with it or not. And as much as I really love local businesses and mom and pops businesses, and Main Street as it's referred to here in the UK. I love, or High Street rather. When you guys say High Street, do you mean more like Main Street mom and pops? Because in the US, we would say like Main Street for like local businesses and mom and pops businesses, and then we would say Wall Street for like, you know, obviously corporations and whatnot.
No, we normally say like the high street is your big shops, your big corporations, and then it's okay. Mom and pops works for England, I think. I totally get what you mean when you say that. And small, like local independent, that's pretty much what we'll say over here for the small mom and pop shops. Mainstream shops would be like your big branded corporations, which whether you like them, there, aren't they?
right, and so here we find ourselves dealing with not only the virus, but also dealing with an economy which is having major changes. And for me, and my friends and my family, and the importance of local businesses, the importance of people to make a living and support their families, their communities, is so important. And I just think that that's something that more people need to talk about, and perhaps that's a conversation. Perhaps that's something good that comes out of this reset. Perhaps people can talk more about the local economy.
Absolutely. You know me, I'm all for local, small, independent businesses. Being small, independent myself, you know, we thrive in the community. We have to. The great thing about being small, independent is the flexibility to just do what you want to do. You know, we're not having some big corporation telling us we must run our business like this, or we have to go into work and be a certain way. We have flexibility around that. So when we invite customers in, we're going to talk to you on a level. We're going to get to know you. We're going to see you regularly, hopefully, if you keep coming back. That we build a connection in a community, which I do understand. Sometimes you get a real good employee for a big corporate business, and you might go in and see them all the time, and that's fantastic when that happens. But it's a minority where you find and single out a certain person in a big corporate business, right? So to go in and to see the store owner, to meet the store owner, to interact with them, to just check in on their lives, and they'll check in on yours. And I think it's invaluable. Very, you know,
it's more than just a transaction.
Yeah, for sure.
It's more than just a financial transaction. And let's talk more about that, because you know, and I'm sorry I went off on a rant about the, you know, economy and stuff, but let's get into that, because that's why we connected, right? Because I needed a haircut. I found you, you know, word on the streets was that, you know, Hollywood gives some of the, you know, the best haircut in town. And I was trying to look good for my wedding, and I can give you, you know, a positive review that I definitely felt on point. I don't know if you saw the wedding pictures, but I was definitely feeling my best, getting married, and so that's how we came into contact. Let me describe my my experience. When I walked in, I didn't feel like just a number walking through the door. And I got to actually meet the person. And that's the beauty of small businesses. Like you said, it's meeting the people that you're doing business with, shaking their hand, and getting to know them on a personal, professional level.
Absolutely. Dude, like, you have come across from the States, you're new in town, and the first thing you do, and this is why I picked up and I liked you from the start, is you went straight into the small independents in our local area, you know, and you started connecting with those people. So to find me is because you went and spoke to somebody else in a small business, and they said, oh, there's this guy here. If you had just gone, if you ignored all those shops or those places and you went straight to your high street shops, you wouldn't have even known who I was. You know, they wouldn't have told you, oh, go to this guy to get a haircut, because you wouldn't have had that interaction. So from the start, as soon as you land here, like, I love you, dude, because you've gone straight to an independent, and you're connecting, you're interacting with them, and that's how you found people like me, which is amazing.
It's worth it.
Huge respect.
It's totally worth it. It's totally worth going a little bit out of your way to find the people and the businesses that are driving the real economy in the community. You know, this part in the UK, it's very small city, but also like small town. And it's totally worth going to find the little coffee shops, whether it's Beans and Boards, you know, shout out Jack, and going and finding these little places where you can, again, you're not just getting a cup of coffee, you're getting a culture, and it's worth it, because I found that that's a good way to make friends, and it's also you just get better quality of service as well. Like, you know, I feel like the quality of service is way better when you go to local businesses. So that's really the theme that I've been dwelling on, and I've just been meditating on this theme, that although things are shifting to a more global corporatist economy, that makes it even more important than ever that you support your local businesses, and that you deal with your local business people, and you create those networks and those connections, because you never know where that's going to go. I just think that there's so much more potential in someone like you, who you're more than just a barber. You're an entrepreneur, you're a businessman, you're an all around cool dude. And I think that that's just awesome, because there's the network effect of, like, you and I aren't just two people having this conversation. It's the community, which is the whole idea behind the Reup is we're not just selling stuff on the internet. We are connecting people, and there's unlimited potential in those connections, because everybody brings so much value, or can bring so much value. There's unlimited potential in the amount of value that people can bring to their businesses and their interactions and their communities.
Absolutely. I agree. I don't like to label, what I am or who I am. I feel very lucky to be able to be in this country and in this part of the country where we're able to just try things. No matter what we do, anyone is able to open up their own shop or open up their own business and give it a go. We're not restricted by the government saying, no, you can't do that, or by people protesting, no, you can't open up here. Like, I've got many friends that have tried all sorts of businesses in the local area. Some not work, some do work.
Most of them fail.
It's so amazing. We get to try that. Like, we actually get to try to put our stamp in our community and into our world. I love that. I feel really humbled by the fact that I can do that. There's plenty of places in the world you can't.
It's an awesome privilege, my friend.
Privilege. I feel really lucky.
And I know your time's precious, and we can go for a few more minutes if you like. Let's talk about labels, because I agree with you. Like, I'm not just a businessman. I'm not just some guy that started flipping stuff when I was I started out unemployed, and I just side hustled my way into out of my little situation, and you said it, anybody can do it. Anybody can start, whether it's selling stuff on the internet and learning different types of arbitrage to where they can take a little bit of savings and turn it into a business. Anybody can learn how to cut hair or run a business or network with people that already know how to do it, and get into the game that much quicker, because the quickest way to get into the game is to learn from someone else that's already in the game operating.
Absolutely. I agree. And I think what you're talking about there almost is mentors. Finding a mentor that is in the business you might want to be in, or is in the industry you might want to get into. I was very fortunate, very lucky that a really good friend of mine, he helped me get into this business I'm in now, and I have huge respect for him and can't thank him enough for setting me off into this barber world, which is brilliant. And also in the business world, or I've been in business before, but I'm still learning. I'm always learning. There's always new things to learn. So finding a business mentor, finding your passion or what you're doing, and finding all these people along the way really makes a difference to how successful your business might be. You can do it without anybody, by the way. Like, it's not, you don't have to just go and find someone to interact with. Like, if you've got the motivation, if you've got the drive, and you want to do something, then just try it and just do it. What's the worst that's going to happen? You can always go back to a corporate business. You can always go back to another job. You can also, what I did, I was working another job whilst learning my trade, whilst learning my industry. It's a side hustle. I don't know about you, but like, mine was a side hustle at first, and then it's a full-time job.
Exactly right.
I think that's a great way to do anything. That 80-20 rule that we probably hear of a lot from reading or listening to other people.
Pareto principle.
Put 80% of your work and time into making your money for your rent and for, in a normal boring job. Put 20% into side hustle, and that flip will happen.
20% creative. I love it, dude. You're preaching good stuff right now, and I love it. You mentioned reading, and I dig that bookshelf behind you. Are you reading anything right now that's good?
Right now, actually, I am reading something quite good. It's the Patagonia.
Oh, right, you mentioned this. Patagonia is actually started in my home county, Ventura County, California.
Big it up, awesome. That's amazing.
Big
influence growing up. Like when you were in that city, did it feel like you had this big influence of this guy?
The home office. I should read the book, but the home office is actually quite small. And one of my friends was involved in the company, but yeah, it's pretty cool how it started in Ventura.
Yeah, oh man, it's amazing. It's such a
I'm from a little tiny town called Ojai in Ventura County. Most people haven't heard of it, but yeah, I guess maybe that's what kind of got me interested in the more local vibes, because like in Ojai, they don't even let chain corporations operate.
Amazing
for the most part, but
that's special.
So is it a biography of this founder of Patagonia?
So it's a book which was his handbook for his business to give to his employees, and it turned out to be quite successful. There was some good content, good stuff inside it. So he released it as an actual book, and then he released a revised edition with some updated bits. But it's a really interesting read.
Is he still the CEO or?
No, I don't think so anymore. But he's always been coined as the what would you say, like the anti-businessman. He does things in a different way, not the traditional format. He's always gone against the grain, and that speaks to me in volumes. It's kind of what I like to try and do is do things slightly differently. I've got a little shop in an industrial estate. I'm cutting hair that takes you much longer than like 10 minutes or what your normal shop, barber shops you might find. So he speaks to me on many levels, and he preaches a good message around just saving the planet and not wanting to just produce a lot of garments. In the fashion world, he doesn't want to produce loads of garments to keep putting out there as quick fashion. He's interested in repairing your clothes rather than buying more. So he's got a great message in the book.
Quality over quantity, and
absolutely,
and yeah, that resonates. Especially since the fashion industry is one of those industries that pollutes the most, isn't it?
No, exactly that. It's a great book. I'm learning a lot about business in it. I'm learning a lot about sort of me as a human and what my values are and what I want to do in this world. How I want to run things in my life. So yeah, it's a really good book to read. You reading anything?
Hell yeah. I've got a couple that I'm reading. Let me grab a couple real quick. This one. Yeah, I've been reading some economic stuff. I'm excited to read Stillness is the Key. And that's it's about finding stillness when when there's challenges. I think it goes into some different like spirituality and mysticism. Like the Buddhists called it inner peace, and the Stoics called it ataraxia. The ability to stay steady, focused, and calm even when there's chaos.
Do you think
my wife got me this book for my birthday and a year ago, and I'm still reading it. It's a really thick read, Maps of Meaning. That's a heavy read, but but I do enjoy reading, and my challenge for myself is reading a chapter every day, because I feel like that's that's a good pace for me.
Absolutely. Do you
Yeah.
go on to that spiritual book? Do you think that you're quite a spiritualist, or do you resonate with any of that?
Definitely. Again, I don't like the label of just labeling myself as one thing or another. But I think that you mentioned how it's important to learn, taste, try different things, and one could argue that that is a big part of life. Like, in order to live life, you need to experience different things. And I think that in and of itself is a spiritual philosophy. And I think that whether it's business or art or any other way of creating or expressing oneself, and trying to provide value, I think that that's a spiritual enterprise in a sense, because if your goal is to provide value and benefit others and help people and create community and whatnot, that's kind of like it's kind of like the purpose of life, is to, find out what kind of unique value can you provide to the world.
For sure.
And there's not just one way to do that, right? Like, we have to try different things and figure out what we're good at.
Yeah. Or just what we're excited about, what fires us up, what gets us want to wake up in the morning and want to get out of bed, and that's what I've been trying to find, for a long time, is just my passions and my what is it that I want to do? What do I want to put into this world?
And it's a process, not a destination, right? It's a process of every day figuring out, what can I learn today? How can I improve? What can I try differently? I like the 80-20 rule, like you said, is like focus on the main thing, but also allow yourself some time to try new things, and to relax and reset and take care of yourself, and make sure that you're tending to the people that you care about, spending time with people, and just doing different creative things and whatnot.
I don't know about you, but I am a big believer that I'm always evolving and I'm always changing. And if I was to be working for a company or a business doing the same thing, I evolve, I change after a few years. And the flexibility of having a business means that you can change that according to what your new set of beliefs might be, because mine have definitely changed from 10 years ago, 5 years ago to now, and it'll change again another 5-10 years. So I've got the flexibility to changing up what I do. It's not like I just wake up one morning. It's a series of events that happen over the period, or the world might change a little bit, and then my beliefs might change. So by having your own business and by being your own business, you're not just going along one script. You're not just reading that same script. You can change it whenever you fancy, really.
That's what's up. And you can also create that culture where people that work with you and people that work for you can also that you give them room to grow and change and figure that out, and where not only your customers aren't just a commodity, your customers aren't just a number walking through the door, but the same principles also apply to the people that you work with, and your employees and your associates.
I'd say
and I think I think the new economy is going to go, I think things are going to become only more radical, as in the big global corporate corporations and Wall Street and all the rest. They're only going to go more into that. But I think that there really is competition in that the local businesses cannot compete with the big corporations. For example, Starbucks, a local like coffee shop, cannot compete just on profits alone. But what they can compete is they can provide unique value to their customers. And that's the only way to beat the system, is you have to go more local and figure out how you can really connect with people, because the corporations, I'm not saying that they're evil. Like, that's not my position. I think that they provide some value, but it's a different kind of value. It's a commodity value.
Yeah. It's I think it's great that we're able to just, we can choose, do we want to, the hardest thing I find with being in a small business is sometimes the prices, they have to be a little bit more expensive than your bigger businesses, because they are competing on profits, and sometimes it's hard to.
True, but at the same time, not only do us businesses need to like shift in a sense, like our value is, you're not trying to compete with the most corporate barber place, because it's not the same. Like, as much as businesses need to realize how valuable they are, and I'm sure that you already know this, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but as much as the small businesses realize their value, the same thing happens with consumers, where consumers also need to be willing to shell out an extra 5 or 10 pound, because it's not the same.
And they do, they really do. If you are providing more value than just the product itself, the customers are happy to pay a little bit more for that. And being in the barbering world, we're quite fortunate. There isn't one big corporate barbershop business. It's not like the coffee world where independent coffee shops are competing with Costa and Starbucks. In the barbering world, there are some bigger barbershop businesses, but they're not on the scale globally or even in the UK wide, which we are very independent in its own nature, which is brilliant. So
that is brilliant.
It's quite unique in that sense. There's not many businesses that have that uniqueness, where we are mainly just craftsmen. I suppose you do get
that's fantastic.
Or proper old school trades. We're just like that. There's no big global corporation running the show. The whole industry is independent.
But even if it goes that way, in the US, it might be a little more competitive with these corporate franchises and chains and whatnot. But you can't replace, a good barber, just like you can't replace a good lawyer, a good accountant, a good dentist, or whatever. Like, these trades are important, and there's definitely a market. There's definitely a market for it. And even if it does go that way, though, even if it does get super corporate competitive, I still think that small businesses and local businesses can win, because they're not competing on the same level. They've got a different value proposition, and they're going to have a different clientele, that don't want a corporate bowl cut, so to say. Or whatever, and that's hopeful. That's really hopeful, because that's the paradigm shift. Is small businesses are getting crushed and whatnot, but the positive outlook to that is, as much as small businesses are getting crushed right now, they can also realize that, well, we need to realize our value and create those stronger connections, such that we can survive into it's 2020, but people need to have that vision going forward, and come up with sustainable business models that are valuable.
Yeah, you're in quite your business model is on consumerism, right? How's that feeling right now with people perhaps not consuming as much anymore, or they're not willing to be buying extra because we're inside, we're not going out? What's your biggest flip right now in this downturn?
So right now, toys are moving.
Toys.
People are buying a lot of toys. and it's a matter of supply. People are shifting their demands as if retail wasn't already dying and getting crushed. People are shifting more towards e-commerce more than ever right now. But you know, business is challenging right now. But there's always opportunities to figure out. But I'm trying to do the, you know, kind of like the 80-20 perspective. I want to keep most of my attention on just doing the e-commerce business that we've been doing, but doubling down and adapting to the market. And there's been a lot of change in how we can supply. But the 20% is I'm focusing on how do I develop a community? How do I connect with people and create, you know, the freedom to create? How do I allow myself some breathing room such that I'm not just putting all my attention on the commodity marketplace, because most of our stuff is you know, being sold on these online marketplaces where there is no consumer connection, right? Like people buy stuff, they're not buying it like directly from me. I don't shake their hand. They're just buying it online. And at the same time, as much as there's value in, you know, e-commerce commodity marketplace business, I realize 100% and respect the local small business, the value in doing business with your neighbors and with your community and your friends and family. So that's why that's what the Reup is. The Reup is we're not just interested in playing the competitive game with these big corporations that don't care about people. You know, they you know, doing business on some of these platforms, they don't care if your business succeeds or fails. You're just a number. You're just a number. So what I'm trying to do is realize that, well, that it's good today, but a more sustainable business model is getting the community involved, developing a sense of community where people can come together, connect, figure out, find interesting people and learn from the experience of others. People can get started flipping stuff on eBay or flipping stuff on any of these marketplaces. There's so many different ways to go about it. And I want to empower people, just like you were saying earlier. And I think we've got a very similar message, if not the exact same, which is people need to get together and figure out their interests, their passions, and not be afraid to go for it.
Absolutely.
And so I'm playing both sides of the coin. Like, yes, we're selling stuff online, which is, it is the corporate way of going about things, but that's not my only focus. There's so much value in local community, small businesses. And that's why I'm working with people such as yourself, which is just to say that we're starting those conversations and we're building those connections, because when it all plays out and we're drinking our tea, in 12 years, and it's a whole different time and era, I think we're going to be having a similar conversation, which is that, the value it resides in the unique connections that people build on a more local level. You can't outsource local connections and those networks with your community and with your customers and with the businesses as well.
No, absolutely. And that's why I think the service industry that I'm in is great, because it's hard to outsource that. We're noticing now people shaving their heads at home on their own, but they're realizing the importance that it's hard, it's difficult. You can't
my
just
wife
buy this
gave me a haircut, and I think she did a pretty good job. I told her, I said, I've paid for worse haircuts. I have actually paid good money for worse haircuts.
That's a worrying thing. That is a worry.
It's true.
Your wife can be a paid barber, yeah. I have so many more questions I want to ask you, Colby, but I'm going to have to shoot, I think. But can we hook up again?
For your time.
This again?
Yeah, thanks for your time. It's been fun.
No, it's been really good. But let's do this again. Let's get together and chat more about.
We'll do. Thanks again, and hope that you're able to continue to grow and thrive and be successful with what you're doing professionally and otherwise, because life isn't just about money. It's not just about trade. It's about a lot more than that. So, dude, thank you so much for your precious time. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And you're right. It's more about connections. You're doing the right thing, connecting people. That's exactly it. That's what we need to do, is just have a connection with our families, our friends, and just other people. That's what's important.
That's what it's all about, my friend. Thanks for your time.
No worries. Cheers, my man.
Take care.